This episode has been brought to you by JustNForm.com. If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to JustNForm.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
What's up, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this segment of Mikasa Sukasa, and thank you all today and everybody who's ever followed this channel for being part of our 10,000 subscriber milestone. Greatly appreciate it. You can help us continue to grow by donating $1 to our Patreon. Just go to www.patreon.com/MikhaSaysSukasa, or you can just click on that link in the description below. We would greatly appreciate it if every single subscriber that we had donated literally $1. Then that would help us stand up to the Coke-funded media, the Soros-funded media, and these talking pieces that are simply used as tools of division for the establishment, for the benefit of the establishment. And as we are the mouthpieces and tools for unification for the benefit of the people, it is the people that we will need to continue to support us so that we can grow and pretty much continue to bring the objective of mitigated truth. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and get started. Surprise, surprise, people. Can you believe it? Nancy Pelosi, Diane Feinstein, and Joe Manchin have all decided that they're going to play ball with Kavanaugh. All have decided to do so in different ways, but they're all essentially saying the same thing. Joe Manchin, in case you didn't know, he said he is going to vote for Kavanaugh. He did. Not surprising, I don't think. Joe Manchin has really always been on the side of whichever way the wind blows. Good God. The dude really has no backbone. He has no spine. And this is not really news to anyone in his constituency. He doesn't like controversial issues. And if the most popular party at the time is Republican, that's the way he's going to vote. So that's a Democrat, though. That is a Democrat for your ass. Why should anybody be surprised, right? But once again, Nancy Pelosi and Diane Feinstein go on to prove that the good old statement, any blue just won't do, is literally applying to them. If it was applying to anybody else, or if applying to anybody at all, that statement was created for Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and Diane Feinstein. So, when Nancy Pelosi was asked, would she move to impeach Brett Kavanaugh? She said, well, no. Jefferson Peterson, I appreciate that super chat. Greatly appreciate that. And you are welcome, of course. Whenever I can bring as many videos to you as possible at a good quality, I love doing it. So thank you very much for that super chat. Like I was saying, so when Nancy Pelosi was asked whether or not she would impeach Brett Kavanaugh, guess what she said? I bet you can't guess. I'm just kidding. You probably could guess. She said that she would not move to impeach Brett Kavanaugh. Now, this is the same Nancy Pelosi, ladies and gentlemen, that has encouraged the impeachment of Donald Trump every opportunity that was presented in front of her. You all remember that, right? This is the same Nancy Pelosi who yesterday spoke at a rally damn near likening Brett Kavanaugh to Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin, which may actually be an insult to Putin because I'm pretty sure he has more of a backbone and would never act the way that Brett Kavanaugh did during that hearing. But weirdly enough, although I would not be for impeaching Trump so if you would impeach Trump, I would be okay with you impeaching him on the premise that he violated the emolument clause. But the problem is he would never be impeached on the emolument clause because, well, the truth of the matter is every single congressperson, except for maybe one or two, and every single senator has also violated the emolument clause, and therefore it would be nothing but a spectacle, really just revitalizing and reinvigorating Trump supporters for him to win again and have, as a result, more Republican establishment bastards winning also. So, although I would not be in favor for the impeachment of Donald Trump under the premises presented by the Democratic Party, I would, however, be in full support of impeaching Brett Kavanaugh. And it has nothing to do with that. Well, It has something to do with that hearing, but it has nothing to do with the sexual assault allegations, because I do believe in a situation where you're talking about it, the Senate, well, the impeachment process starts at the House, but then what if the impeachment process is successful in the Senate level? You would have to go about it in a way that brings about due process. And the truth of the matter is, Dr. Ford doesn't have a lot of legs to stand on. Her story should be heard, and I have no problem with admitting that. But when you're talking about in a court with due process, it would be difficult to get him out. However, with that being said, I would absolutely support an impeachment process to expose Brett Kavanaugh thoroughly, because he is a mouthpiece for the deep state. He is a weapon of the deep state. I don't think anybody with any common sense disagrees with that. If you've done any research into his past, he has helped to author the Patriot Act. I wonder who has something in common with Brett Kavanaugh when it comes to their support of the Patriot Act. Oh, Nancy Pelosi and Diane Feinstein. What a surprise. Furthermore, he also helped to double down on the FBI and the NSA constantly violating our Fourth Amendment, which gives us a right to privacy, except for in cases where there is probable cause. According to Kavanaugh, as long as they don't punish you, the government can invade your privacy. Even if we did get punished, do you think Kavanaugh would actually do anything about that if the government did invade our privacy? I can guarantee we know which side of the fence he would swing for. Also, Kavanaugh did openly say that he was going to seek retaliation. He did say that openly. In a hearing, premeditated, wrote this stuff down. He said, just like we found out in 2000 during the George W. Bush fiasco. That's what I would call that. I wouldn't necessarily call it a presidency. I would definitely call it a fiasco, though. During that fiasco, we found out that what goes around comes around. That is what Kavanaugh said in a premeditated, pre-written statement. In other words, he will seek retaliation above all else. That means that he will weaponize politics and use it to suit his personal agenda or the agenda of the Republican Party. And he is at least, at the bare minimum, act like you're objective. We know you're a Supreme Court justice and you've been a registered lifelong Republican. We know this, but act like you're objective. But what that showed, in my opinion, was that he is temperamental, right? That he is not even killed. And for someone who is a judge and wants to sit on the highest judgeship in the United States of America, to show that he is retaliatory in his verdicts, and not only show that he's retaliatory, but was boldly proclaiming it, pretty much saying, I'm going to get confirmed, I'll remember this, and was very proud of his vindictive nature. That is, if I've ever heard a reason to impeach somebody, that would be it, right? And Nancy Pelosi has decided that she's all about impeaching Trump because it sounds good. And she's all about critiquing Kavanaugh when it comes to standing in front of crowds at rallies. But when it comes down to it, she will not put her money where her mouth is. And Manchin voting for him, Nancy Pelosi refusing to want to hold him accountable, and then Diane Feinstein, and what I'm about to say about her, also ultimately electing to not hold Kavanaugh or her party accountable, means bad news for MAGA people, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But Diane Feinstein has decided to join in on the party of, hey, whatever, it's cool. Kavanaugh's all right, I guess. If Manchin votes for him, Kavanaugh's all right, according to Feinstein. Because when Feinstein was approached by a journalist from the Daily Beast on whether or not she would actually talk to Manchin about oh my God, I mean, bro. The Democrats have been trying to use this as a weapon in November, and that man might end up losing his seat because of that. But when Joe Manchin voted for Kavanaugh and Diane Feinstein was approached and asked, well, are you going, as a party leader, are you going to talk to Manchin about his vote? She said, and I quote, only if he asks me to. Hold the fuck. What does that mean? What does only if he asks me to mean? Of course he's not going to ask you if you should talk to him or ask you to talk to him about the vote. But what it really means is only if my masters want me to. Otherwise, I don't really care, because I knew he was going to get confirmed anyway. I knew what the outcome of this confirmation hearing and this whole fiasco was going to be anyway. But while y'all weren't paying attention, all the goals that both the Republican and the Democratic Party wanted to achieve while we were distracting you with Brett Kavanaugh have already been achieved. So there's that. What this demonstrates, people, what this demonstrates is something that I've been saying for the last few days, something I've been going on about over and over again on Twitter. Kavanaugh is the deep state. You don't get you don't get Joe Manchin to vote for you, Nancy Pelosi to totally ignore, like, in any substantive way, right? Nancy Pelosi definitely is ignoring the Kavanaugh situation. She's ignoring it on purpose. Diane Feinstein had a chance to rip Manchin a new one, refused to. And by the way, Nancy Pelosi said that she wouldn't impeach Kavanaugh before there was ever a vote taken. But she just knows in her heart that Trump, based off of, like I said, the Monuments Clause is one thing, but you trying to use Russiagate to impeach Trump off of a figment of her imagination, rather than literally proof that Kavanaugh perjured himself in front of Congress and the Senate. People, he lied multiple times for his own personal benefit, and that isn't grounds for impeachment. Then Diane Feinstein refusing to hold Manchin accountable. So, once again, what this demonstrates is that Kavanaugh is the deep state. I mean, also, it shows that Democrats are going to do what the hell they want to do, and they're not really any different than the Republican Party, and that's pretty much what that is, right? We know that. But more importantly, that deep state wing of both parties support Kavanaugh. Like, it's not news, or at least it shouldn't be news to anyone who watches this channel. That's why I always say, or I have been saying, if you are a Trump supporter who literally supported Trump because he was supposed to be outside of the establishment and he's supposed to be taking down the deep state, stop conflating deep state and the Democratic Party. Because they are not, although they are not mutually exclusive, they are not necessarily the same thing. The deep state runs through both parties. And Trump nominated and appointed a deep state pawn. A historically significant deep state pawn. Why? Because the establishment pointed him or told him to do so. You want to talk about bending over for establishment. You want to talk about bending over for the deep state. He is absolutely a pawn. You can't pretend. At least be honest with yourself. Be intellectually honest with yourself and say you don't care about the deep state. You only care about taking down the Democratic Party. You don't care about the deep state. You only care about being able to say politically incorrect things without being held accountable for your actions. You only care about yelling at Colin Kaepernick about taking a knee. You only care that the guy that you hero worshipped is protected at all costs. Just be honest. I would have more respect for you. But when Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, Diane Feinstein, Joe Manchin, and then obviously all of the Republican Party are all on the same page, you don't find that as being a little bit problematic? Yeah, they had a dog and pony show from behind the scenes, in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, come on, people. They passed $3.8 trillion in rich people's tax cuts that you will not benefit from in any way, form, or fashion. And not a single whisper from Nancy Pelosi, from Diane Feinstein, from Joe Manchin, from the Democrats, period. How many times do we have to go over this? It is us versus them. They are not united behind an R. They are not united behind a D. They are only united behind a $sign. And when so many egos are involved, namely Trump, especially Trump is going to be even until his ego is personally attacked. Trump will always play ball with the Republican establishment. That is what he's demonstrated. Is Julian Assange free, alive and well, and with his children and his family again? No. We're still in Syria. Yeah, it's de-escalated, but we're still in Syria. But we are also talking about going to war with Venezuela. So there's that. We're still allowing Saudi Arabia to dictate our foreign policy, and Israel to dictate our foreign policy. We've escalated drone bombings to more countries. So it looks to me that Trump will play ball at the establishment. Most cases, although he does have a few cases where he does the right thing. And that's fine. Those should be celebrated. And you know that I will celebrate them, like I did with when he tried to pull the CIA out of Syria the first time, when he tried to pull our troops out of Syria the second time, and when he made peace with North Korea. Those things I celebrated. But I am, once again, no fool. I'm nobody's fool. Don't preach about wanting to take down deep state when you're only backing Kavanaugh as a MAGA supporter because Trump told you to. And Trump is doing it because Republicans told him to. And the Republicans are doing it because the establishment told them to. And you're supposed to be a Trump supporter because he exists outside of the establishment. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you hit that like button, share, subscribe if this is your first time here. Thank you all so much who have helped us reach 10K. You can donate $1 right now to our Patreon account by going to www.patreon.com/Mi Casa es Su Casa. Follow us on Roku, the first independent news network on Roku. And also, like I said before, LA, October 13th, 8 p.m. Pacific, I will be at the Bernie Sanders coffee shop doing a meet and greet. So if you are in the area, make sure you stop by. And hey, more than anything else, always remember, find your balance.